Hey, welcome back to our show. We're joined in our booth by one of my favorite people and pump authors and writers, Barbara Bradley. She wrote our pump column for Diabetes Health magazine for a very long time. Barbara, it's good to see you.
Nice to be here. It's good to see you again.
Well, welcome to St. Louis.
Thank you.
So what are you doing now?
I have a contract with the state of Delaware, the Diabetes Prevention and Control Program, and I'm in a federally funded clinic and working with uninsured and underinsured people. Most all of them have diabetes, or we're trying to prevent it.
What's the challenge in that situation?
The challenge in this situation is that probably greater than 75%, and I want to say 80%, but I don't really want to give you that exact number, but probably slightly greater than 75% of my patients do not speak English.
Okay.
So my challenge has been to translate diabetes education into Spanish for most of them, but I do that with the help of an interpreter, and have been able to at least improve my Spanish speaking skills. So I would encourage any diabetes educator who had taken language as a requirement anywhere is to hone up on those skills, because at some point you're going to run across someone, we're getting more global and more international as far as people traveling about the country, and you really do have to have that extra skill.
Well, first off, I'm thrilled that there's federal money for this. Just spoke with an educator that their department got closed because the hospital thought there weren't any diabetics.
Right. One of the things in it, I think in Delaware is unique, is that they're using the tax monies from tobacco.
Good.
That feeds into the Department of Health, and so it provides us some monies for emergency funds for people who need some assistance for the diabetes supplies, which is so important. Those people, one of the requirements though is that they have to be citizens to access those funds, but we have a lot of patients who are here without the benefit of citizenship, so that's the big reason why they are uninsured. But that population is huge. If you look at some of the statistics for the percentage of people around the states who have the whatever the percentage of diabetes is, it's very high for Delaware. And I was astounded by that when I was living in another state, thinking, that was my home state. I don't understand why the percentage of diabetes is so high. But it's because the Spanish population has been increasing. And that's a big challenge.
What do you find that works best? And when you find someone that successfully got the information, what works the best?
A personal touch, an individual with our patient population, individual face-to-face, working with them and having the benefit of an interpreter to make sure that they're getting the information. But I've had some good success with people. I'll give one example. A type 1 young man that was sent once referred to me, his A1C was 16%.
Very high blood sugars.
In less than a year, we had him down to 7%. And
so
we were happy, and he was working.
He did a lot of work,
yes,
but
he did.
He must have found a connection there that worked for him.
Right, he did. And I try to zero in on whatever I can connect with the patients, because I like to use analogies when I'm teaching, and I like to pull something either from their culture or from their lifestyle, or their work world, or their education background, to turn that around, and so that I can use that to hook them and get them to pay attention to what they need to do.
What kind of analogy might you use? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh gosh, I think a common one that I use is, I'm trying to think, that throws me a little bit because I use such a variety of them, and I'm trying to think, with some of the foods, festival foods, for instance, some of the Hispanic people, I try to tell them, we can have a party and we can get some of the foods and trade them around, and I'd create some recipes for them, and that isn't so much an analogy, but it's proving to them that I can take, as a non-Hispanic, take foods and be aware, culturally sensitive, I guess is the word, be sensitive to their culture, pull some foods together, create some party foods that they like. It can be lower calorie. I can give them a calorie count to that food, and which is also fun for me, because I'm not a dietitian, I'm an RN, but doing with pumps and teaching people about carb counting. That translates over to people with type 2 who need to know carb counting. And so I just try to make it fun for them. But
it's probably a challenge for them to cut back on the rice and the carbs.
Oh,
and the
yes,
beans.
it is. Well, I had one gentleman who said, "How many tortillas are you eating a day?" And he said, "About 8. No, at a meal, about 8.
8 tortillas a meal.
And I said, "Yeah," and I'm trying to work him down to, 3 carb choices per meal. And I'm saying, "Well, can you cut it back to 7 for a couple weeks, and then we'll go back, then we'll go to 6, and then maybe we'll get." But when they come back for visits, I go over glucose results with them and show them what's working, show them what's not working.
See.
And they know that when they come to see me, I'm going to ask them where their blood sugar records are, how many minutes of exercise have they been doing, and how many days a week have they been doing it, and are you taking medications appropriately? And so I'm zeroing in on even the AADE7 items, and we'll add in how you're doing with coping, or you're fighting with your spouse, because if you are, probably blood sugar is probably going up.
Yes, it's a lot of listening.
Yes, yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. I don't know, having grown up in a family with diabetes, I think it's sort of like my goal in life to help people with diabetes live better.
Yeah, me too.
We have the same goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing inside my head, is just keep getting out there and helping people. It's so rewarding.
The other thing I'll tell the patient is, I'm your guide and your coach. I'm going to teach you, because we'll have a lot of people that come in, not only Hispanics, but other populations or nationalities that come in and they think the healthcare person is in charge of their health, and that person's going to do everything for them. I have one lady, I asked her about her glucose records, and she told me that the last time her blood sugar was checked was at the clinic.
She hadn't tested at all.
And that I should know that because I'm the one who changed that medication. I went, no, it wasn't me, because I don't write prescriptions for medications.
Right.
I make recommendations, and she'd been having hypoglycemia and needed a medication change. But I had taught her to use a meter. This was a lady from Peru.
How do you like them to bring their glucose records in? Do you have a machine in the office that downloads it, or?
We can do that for some of them. But there's a variety of meters that we work with because of either the uninsured issue or the underinsured issue,
right.
Or if some patients have Medicaid, it requires in our state a certain meter. So their meter may vary, and I'm just obligated to work with what's there.
So they need to have it handwritten down.
Yeah, and for those that are low literacy, I've created a page that just has their morning and their evening blood sugar. And I think one of the problems is people will get instructions to test their blood sugar in the morning and in the evening, or in the morning and at night. And I'm going, what time are you doing that? When is your meal? I need to know when it's in relation to what.
Otherwise, it's practically worthless.
Right, and then fine tune it.
Yeah.
Or I'll make recommendations. That blood sugars are not working for you. Let's see if we need to talk to the doctor about another medication, a different medication.
Yeah.
One young man who's mentally retarded, mental health problems. He's undifferentiated schizophrenia. But he's on his meds, which cause some insulin resistance for his type 2, but his main caregiver had a stroke. And she oversaw his care. So now I'm having him come into my office at least every 2 weeks rather than once a month. So I can help oversee his care until they get back, because his main caregiver is now in a wheelchair and partially paralyzed. So that's frustrating for him.
Yeah. How do you feel about the news about Avandia Actos? Are you still using those, or are you trying to move people into something else?
The doctors at our clinic are just sitting down and explaining that with the patients, and giving the patient the option to go off. They're saying we've got some information in the literature that it's a problem, and some that conflicting that says, yeah, we don't need to take it off, but let's look at that patient individually. That's what we're trying to do, is look at them individually and give the patient the option. So if they want to go off it, fine, they can go off it. They switch them around to something else. Yeah. Just for their own peace of mind, because we don't need anxious patients going home thinking the medications are going to do them in. Right. Nobody wants that. So that's.
Are you still doing any pump work, insulin pump?
Only very little. Mostly at this point, because of my job at the clinic, there's a lot of time with those patients, and usually what I'm looking for is a patient who might benefit from a pump.
Yeah.
And there's 3 or 4. Probably 2 of them that are on the Medicaid system that we might have to do some, jump through some hoops to get those people on pumps. But there are a couple of those that desperately need to be using a pump. One of them, I'm not sure she'll learn how to, use it.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of intensive management. So with 27 hours a week at the clinic, I don't know if I can add 10 more hours a week.
That's a lot.
Right. But I'm still pro pump for anybody who can afford it and their insurance covers it, because I think that's it's the most physiological way to get better blood sugar control. It's going to irritate the pancreas. It's better than for some people, it's better than a pancreas transplant.
Right. Barbara, has there been anything at the conference that you'd like to tell educators that didn't make it that was good for you?
What I'm going to say is I try to get to every conference because I get to do a lot of networking with diabetes educators around the country. I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. I've met some people from Canada that I've had fun talking with. So, we're all in it to do this.